Often described as a time-traveling soldier, X-Men's Cable's life has been one hell of a roller coaster ride right from his birth. He's also known as Nathan Summers, and is best known for the telepathic and telekinetic abilities he inherited from his parents, Cyclops and Madeline Pryor. Pryor was essentially Jean Grey's clone, and both of Cable's parents were mutants with extreme talent who had passed their abilities along to him to keep their legacy alive. It also goes without saying that Cable had several relatives on both his parents' sides, ranging from his grandparents and siblings to even a stepmother. Today, we shall have a peek at his family tree and tell you everything about Cable's family. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
12 o'clock.
Okay. Nathan Summers, aka Cable. To begin with, Nathan Summers, also known as Cable from X-Men, first appeared in the Uncanny X-Men comics in 1985. He was introduced as Cyclops and Madeline Pryor's son, and he gained his mutant powers at an early age due to his parents' mutant abilities. As it turns out, his birth was a part of Mr. Sinister's plan to create a living weapon to fight against the apocalypse, and Madeline Pryor found herself descending into madness after she uncovered this plan. She was horrified to learn that she was only a clone of X-Men Jean Grey, and Jean stepped up to be Nathan's stepmother after her death. Amid the chaos, an infant Nathan was exposed to the techno-organic virus, and he had to be sent to the post-apocalyptic future to find a cure. Here, he grew up as Nathan Dayspring among the Asakani clan, who honed his skills and helped him become a fearless warrior who might kill Apocalypse one day. Over the years, Nathan returned to the past and reconciled with his parents and older sister, among others, but he had to return to the future before he knew it. Eventually, Nathan joined the New Mutants team, which later rebranded itself as the X-Force, where he proved to be an excellent leader and a master tactician. Grandparents: Christopher Summers, Corsair, and Catherine Summers. Sadly known for their tragic tale, Christopher and Catherine Summers were a married couple who lived a seemingly normal life with 2 kids, Scott and Alex. In an unfortunate turn of events, Chris was flying the family back from a trip when their plane was cornered by the alien Shi'ar Empire. Catherine thought on her feet and immediately pushed their sons out of the aircraft with their only working parachute, while the couple stayed back and faced the aliens. When Chris finally located Catherine, he discovered that she was being forced to serve Emperor Deken, who proceeded to kill her in front of him. While Catherine never got to see her sons or grandsons for that matter, very few fans know that she was pregnant at the time of her death and that Deken had extracted and incubated him. This did mark the end of Catherine's story arc, while Christopher, also known as Corsair, was imprisoned and forced to work in the mine pits. He did escape his life sentence and get his hands on a spaceship called the Starjammer. While exploring space, Corsair was lucky enough to stumble across Cyclops, and the father-son duo made many memories together. In fact, Cyclops proposed to Madeline on the Starjammer's deck, and Corsair was present at their wedding as well. John Grey and Elaine Grey. While Jean Grey was considered to be Cable's stepmother, she did have a genetic link with him. By this logic, Jean Grey's parents, John and Elaine, were his grandparents on the maternal side. The couple lived a regular life far away from the madness of the X-Men, but this did not prevent them from being targeted by demonic forces. Unfortunately, John and Elaine were killed by the Shi'ar Death Commandos, and it's pretty unlikely that Cable ever crossed paths with them. Parents: Scott Summers, Cyclops. Famously known as the first X-Men, Cyclops proved to be a revolutionary hero in the mutant cause, and he had garnered quite a massive fan following over the years. He had a tragic childhood after he witnessed his parents' murder at the hands of Emperor Deken, after which he was lured into the devious traps of Mr. Sinister. As his mutant abilities manifested, Scott escaped Sinister's orphanage and found himself at Professor Xavier's School for Mutants. He bore the responsibility of ensuring peace between humans and mutants, and also made friends with Jean Grey during his time at the school. Over the years, Jean and Scott shared a complex relationship and eventually got married. When the Hellfire Club corrupted Jean, she embraced the dark side of the Phoenix Force and rose as the Dark Phoenix. When she allegedly committed suicide, Scott came across her clone, Madeline Pryor, and fell for her. They became parents to Nathan, and Scott eventually raised him alongside Jean Grey after Madeline's death. However, Nathan was destined to travel back and forth in time, and Scott barely got a chance to watch his son grow into an accomplished young man. Madeline Pryor, clone of Jean Grey. After Jean Grey was presumed dead after committing suicide on the moon, Madeline Pryor emerged as the sole survivor of a plane, and numerous individuals confused her with Jean. The resemblance was uncanny, and Madeline would convince pretty much anyone that she was Jean Grey if she tried hard enough. While she seemed to have a solid backstory, we soon learned that Mr. Sinister created her to be Jean's clone so that he could orchestrate a connection between her and Cyclops. Sadly, Madeline did not exhibit superior mutant abilities, and Sinister labeled her a failed experiment. Soon, the Dark Phoenix's death triggered a spark of the Phoenix Force, which was then bestowed upon Madeline. Sinister once again got back to his project, and when Jean Grey rejected the Phoenix Force, it decided to gel itself with Madeline instead. She soon met Scott, who found himself attracted to her due to her striking resemblance to Jean. They soon fed hell over heels for each other and got married, after which they welcomed baby Nathan into their family. While Cable was away, Madeline gave birth to Nathan alone in the X-Mansion and started resenting him for not being there for her. Over time, she discovered that she was merely a clone of Jean Grey and embraced her dark side before finally dying a tragic death during the 1989 crossover event Inferno. Uncle Havoc, Alex Summers. Best known for his ability to generate destructive plasma blasts, Havoc, also known as Alexander Summers, was the second son of Corsair and Catherine Summers. After the family's plane was targeted by the Shi'ar Empire, Alex's parents secured a parachute for their sons and ensured that they got to safety. While Scott Summers went on to become Cyclops, Alex suffered from traumatic amnesia and was rescued and sent to an orphanage in Nebraska. As it turned out, the orphanage was run by Mr. Sinister, who let the Blanding family adopt him while keeping a secret eye on him. Sinister hoped to track Alex's powers and even incited a school bully into attacking Alex, so that his mutant abilities could emerge. Unfortunately, Sinister placed a genetic lock on his abilities after he incinerated his opponent with a plasma blast, and Alex had to go a long way before embracing his mutant self, Havoc. Havoc was related to Scott Summers, which implies that he was Cable's parental uncle. Siblings. Rachel Summers. While Nathan was raised by Clan Ascani, in the future he did return to an alternate past timeline during his teen years and reconcile with his family. In this reality that takes place on Earth 811, Nathan met Scott as well as his older sister, Rachel Summers, in Krakoa, but the meeting was brief as he had to return to the future to face strife. The two did not spend much time together, but we learned that Rachel was the mutant daughter of Scott Summers and Phoenix after the Phoenix Force emerged with Jean's body. In this reality, the two got married and had a child named Rachel Ann Summers, who gained Jean's telepathic and telekinetic abilities, as well as the ability to tap into the Phoenix Force. Stepmother, Jean Grey. While Jean Grey is known as one of the most powerful mutants of all time, she has had her fair share of struggles with the Phoenix Force. When this cosmic force managed to take over Jean's form and consciousness, and a spark of the force allowed her clone, Madeline, to come to life and gain some of Jean's memories. During this time, it was assumed that Jean had taken her own life on the moon, and Scott had moved on to have children with Madeline. While Cable is technically not Jean's child, she did raise him after Madeline discovered her true identity and turned to insanity. In this regard, she's considered to be Cable's stepmother after she reunites with Scott, but the couple barely gets to spend time with Cable as he is whisked away to the future. Children. Hope Summers. While Hope is not Cable's biological daughter, she is considered his adopted daughter after he protected her in the 2007 story arc X-Men Messiah Complex. In this story arc, the mutants kept an eye out for the first mutant child born after they nearly went extinct, and Hope's birth triggers a battle between the X-Men and Mr. Sinister's Marauders. While Sinister tries to kidnap Hope, Cable decides that the best thing for her would be to travel to the future and stay far away from any potential harm in the present. Cable raised her as his own daughter and gave her the name Hope Summers as a sign that she represented hope for mutants. After Hope entered her teen years, Cable returned to the present with her and introduced her as a mutant with the ability to mimic as well as enhance others' powers. She went on to be a part of several story arcs and is currently playing a major role in the Immortal X-Men. Tyler Dayspring, Genesis. In certain storylines, Cable was a part of a clan Asanki in the future, where he trained alongside the clan to gather the courage to face the apocalypse one day. During these endeavors, Cable was known as Nathan Dayspring, and he even led the clan and fell for another group member named Aliyah. After spending time together, Nathan and Aliyah got romantically involved, and had a son named Tyler Dayspring. Tyler inherited his father's telepathy and telekinetic powers and worked alongside his army until he was abducted by Strife's army. After Aaliyah passed away during the attack, Tyler and Cable shared a tumultuous relationship wherein Cable once attacked his own son to save another member of the clan. This event had an impact on Tyler's psyche, and he soon enough recovered and traveled to the present to ensure Apocalypse's rise, where he eventually took the form of Genesis. At the end of the war, Wolverine kills Genesis in a frenzy, and we later catch a glimpse of him when Cable has a vision of Aaliyah and Tyler in the afterlife. Marvelous verdict. To wrap things up, it would be an understatement to say that the Summers Gray family is complex and packed with drama. From Mr. Sinister's involvement in Madeline's creation, to the revelation that Cable's mother is Jean Grey's clone, Cable's family's relations were messed up even before his birth. Over the years, he furthered his legacy by having kids in the form of an adopted mutant messiah daughter named Hope Summers and a son named Tyler Dayspring. While we don't know what is set in store for them, their family history has been nothing but compelling so far, and we certainly bank on the Grey Summers clan to continue to amaze fans in the future. And if you like our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.